On a warm summer night in 64 AD, Rome became an inferno. Flames swallowed streets, entire neighborhoods vanished into ash. Thousands fled for their lives with nothing but what they could carry. And almost immediately, rumors spread through the empire faster than the fire itself that one man had done this, the emperor himself. For nearly 2,000 years, people have repeated the same story, that Nero burned Rome while calmly playing music as his city died. But did he? Or has history spent 2 millennia blaming the wrong man? By the middle of the 1st century, Rome had become the greatest city the world had ever known. Nearly 1 million people crowded its narrow streets, merchants, senators, soldiers, and slaves, all packed into a city that had outgrown itself many times over. Wooden apartment blocks called insulae rose 4 and 5 stories high, crammed shoulder to shoulder beside marble temples and bustling markets. The empire stretched from the fog of Britain to the deserts of the Middle East, and everything of value seemed to flow back into this one capital. But beneath the wealth and grandeur lay a dangerous truth. Most of Rome was built from wood. Its streets were narrow, its buildings pressed too close together, and fire was never a question of if, only when. Then, on the night of July 18th, 64 AD, disaster struck. Flames erupted near the shops surrounding the Circus Maximus, Rome's great chariot racing stadium, likely sparked by something as ordinary as an overturned oil lamp or an untended cooking fire. On any other night, it might have stayed small, but strong summer winds swept through the city that evening, and the flames leapt from stall to stall, then building to building, faster than anyone could contain. Within hours, entire districts were burning. Panic swept through the streets as families abandoned everything they owned, dragging children and elderly parents through smoke-filled alleys, desperate to escape a fire that seemed to be chasing them from every direction at once. For 6 terrifying days, the fire consumed Rome almost without pause. Ancient temples that had stood for 500 years collapsed into rubble within minutes. Entire neighborhoods that had existed since the city's founding simply disappeared. Just when it seemed the flames might finally be dying, new fires broke out in districts that had survived the first wave, leading some at the time to suspect the fire was being deliberately relit. By the time it was finally extinguished, 3 of Rome's 14 districts were completely destroyed, and 7 more were badly damaged. Nearly 3/4 of the greatest city on earth lay in ruins or ash. As the smoke finally cleared, rumors began spreading even faster than the fire itself had. In marketplaces and taverns across the ruined city, people whispered that Emperor Nero had ordered Rome burned so he could rebuild it exactly as he imagined, a city that would bear his name and his vision alone. Others claimed something even more damning, that Nero had stood on a private stage during the fire, singing about the fall of ancient Troy while his own capital burned below him. It was a dramatic enough, damning enough to survive for 2,000 years. But historians examining the evidence today are far more cautious than the rumors of the time. The Roman historian Tacitus, writing decades after the fire, recorded the rumors in detail, but even he admitted there was no solid proof Nero started the blaze. In fact, contemporary accounts suggest the emperor was not even in Rome when the fire began. He was 35 miles away at his villa in Antium and rushed back the moment word reached him. Once he returned, Nero opened his own private gardens to shelter the newly homeless, organized emergency grain shipments to prevent starvation, and personally funded the beginning of reconstruction. Whether these actions came from genuine compassion or careful political calculation is something historians still argue about today. But goodwill only carried an emperor so far. As anger among the homeless population grew, Nero desperately needed someone else to blame. Suspicion soon fell upon a small, poorly understood religious group living in the city, the Christians. Hundreds were arrested on Nero's orders. Ancient sources describe executions of horrifying cruelty. Some burned alive to light Nero's gardens at night, others thrown to wild animals in the arena for public entertainment. Even hardened Roman spectators, accustomed to violence, were reportedly disturbed by the brutality. What had begun as a natural disaster had become something else entirely, a political weapon aimed at silencing suspicion by pointing it at someone else. In the years that followed, Nero rebuilt Rome more carefully than before. Wider streets to slow the spread of future fires, height restrictions on wooden buildings, mandatory stone facades, and public water supplies placed within easy reach of every district. In many ways, the new Rome that rose from the ashes was safer and more organized than the city that had burned. And yet, none of it repaired Nero's reputation. Ancient writers who despised him, many with their own political reasons, shaped the image of Nero that has survived to this day. A vain, cruel ruler who fiddled while his people suffered. Whether that image reflects the truth or 2,000 years of propaganda remains one of history's most debated questions. So, did Nero burn Rome? The honest answer is no surviving evidence proves that he did. What survives instead are rumors born in a grieving city, political enemies eager to destroy his legacy, and centuries of retellings that slowly blurred the line between history and legend. Guilty or innocent, Nero became one of history's most infamous rulers, not necessarily because of what he actually did, but because some questions, once asked loudly enough, are never fully answered. Sometimes, history isn't written by those who tell the truth. Sometimes, it's written by those who simply survive to tell the story.